Major news in the crypto world. The CEO of Binance, CZ, agreeing to plead guilty to federal charges and step down from the company. Binance agreeing to pay more than $4 billion to settle money laundering charges. Our Kate Rooney joins us now with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. Kate?
Hi, John. Thanks for that. So, Brian, thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time today. I want to start with the significance of what John just mentioned, Binance and CZ pleading guilty. What is the impact on your company, Coinbase, and the industry here?
Yeah, well, for us at Coinbase, I mean, this is really a vindication of the long-term strategy that we've taken to focus on compliance, make sure we were building a trusted company. And I have to tell you, over the last 10 years since we've been doing that, it has been frustrating at times. We've seen competitors come on the scenes and not take that approach. Sometimes they're able to offer products that we didn't think was legal. And in this environment, we're seeing that regulators are finally acting and they're creating that level playing field. So I think this is vindicating of our strategy, and I think it's good for the industry, too, to sort of turn the page, make sure that we're following the laws where it's clear today around AML and KYC, and then also make sure that we're getting clarity about the areas of the law where it's not yet clear in terms of commodities, securities, and there's new legislation on the horizon that I think Congress can help with there.
And Brian, so the DOJ just held this press conference. They talked about some of the awful, really, use cases for crypto. They talked about terrorist financing, transactions that facilitate child sexual abuse. How is the industry going to move on from that? Really, the dark side of crypto, some of the nefarious use cases at a time when this industry is also gaining legitimacy on Wall Street. There's a lot of hope for an ETF. How is the industry going to move on to become more legitimate, especially in light of what happened today?
Yeah, well, centralized services in cryptocurrency, just like custodians and exchanges, I mean, they need to be following the exact same rules that exist in traditional financial services to be looking out for that type of criminal behavior. And one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that if you look at the best third-party data out there, less than 1% of activity in crypto is for illicit purposes like those that you just described. By the way, the US dollar cash is about 4% used for illicit activity. So crypto is certainly not unique in that a small percentage of bad actors try to use it. That's why we at Coinbase, for instance, have really strong transaction monitoring programs, and we've invested a lot in these programs around KYC and AML. But the centralized actors need to follow those rules. I think we saw that Binance in this case was not maybe following those rules as well as they should have. But the decentralized aspects of crypto are probably going to be regulated differently. They're protocols, they're self-custodial wallets. And so the industry needs to figure out how it can apply those rules with regulatory clarity, not just in the US, but these offshore unregulated exchanges as well. And then we also need to make sure we preserve the innovation potential in the decentralized aspects of crypto to balance that.
So how do regulators prevent some of this from happening again in the future? It sounds a lot like just banking regulation, things like KYC and AML that you think of really applying to some of the more traditional financial institutions. The industry has pushed back on that and said we want different regulation. Is that possible at a time when Congress might have some different priorities, especially with an election coming up next year?
Yeah, well, I think some areas of the law are already quite clear around OFAC and KYC and AML, like we saw. And I don't think the industry has been pushing that against that. In fact, quite the opposite. The companies that I engage with and in the U.S. that are based here are all leaning into that. We've been doing that for many, many years. Now, there are areas of the law today that are still not clear in crypto. For instance, which of these assets are commodities and securities. And that's where we've seen some of this draft legislation going through Congress. In the absence of that regulatory clarity, we're also availing ourselves of the court to go get case law created that can create that clarity as well. So, look, the first and best choice would be to have regulators come together and publish clear guidance. We haven't had that happen yet, so we're unfortunately having to rely on the courts and now Congress to pass some of that. Congress does have many priorities, as you put it, but I know that, for instance, Patrick McHenry and those have made this crypto legislation a priority. And you never know exactly how and when things may become law in the United States, but we're going to keep trying that, and I feel confident that the U.S. is going to get it right eventually.
And so, Brian, Coinbase has not been immune from its own legal troubles. Can you give us any sort of update on the legal battle with the SEC? The SEC has sued Coinbase for what it says is an unregistered broker. Does any of the action today impact the way you think about your own legal battle with U.S. regulators?
Yeah, well, obviously it's important for people to remember that these two things are apples and oranges. Ours is a civil case over some technical issues about what is a commodity and security. And as I mentioned, we're availing ourselves of the court here to go create that regulatory clarity for the industry. And so almost regardless of the outcome, at least we'll finally start to have some clarity from the court. The Binance case here was a criminal matter, obviously, with much different facts and circumstances and a huge dollar amount that is quite a bit different. But look, I think the important thing for people to remember here is that 52 million Americans have used crypto now, 400 million people globally, roughly. This technology is not going anywhere. More Americans have used, like 5 times as many Americans have used this technology as have an electric vehicle, for instance. And so we have a real opportunity with this technology to update the financial system, make it faster, less expensive for people, more efficient, more fair, more global. And that's going to bring an incredible amount of positive aspects to the global economy and to people all over the world. So although it's the early days, and unfortunately that lack of clarity, we saw some bad actors, try to take advantage of the situation. This industry remains very strong, and it's just going to get better over time as we see things like layer 2 solutions, adding scalability into crypto. We see ETF applications out there to launch. So I'm very optimistic on next year. Now that we've turned the page here on some of these regulatory issues, we can get back to building.